Hello and welcome to the BCU Alumni podcast. In each episode we welcome a different member of the BCU alumni community back onto campus to chat all about what they've been up to since they graduated. Today we're joined by Claire Blake, an adult nursing alumna who graduated straight into, dare I say it, the COVID-19 pandemic. Nowadays she's actually back at BCU as a lecturer in the School of Nursing and Midwifery. But Claire's journey to being a nurse wasn't a particularly easy one, which is why she has now published a book, How to Make It as a Student Nurse, to support those currently studying nursing. In this episode, we're really keen to find out about Claire's journey as a mature student to lecturer, her passions around community and primary care nursing, as well as sexual health and transgender awareness education, and what it really is like to write your very own book. Claire, thanks so much for joining us today. It's so great to have you here in the studio. So you are a bit of a BCU icon, really. During your time at BCU, you were a student vlogger, you got involved in so many different aspects of the uni, and so many people have been able to watch your journey from where you were to where you are now. But it's safe to say that it wasn't an easy journey for you. You arrived here as a mature student after years of wanting to be a nurse. So what inspired you to become a nurse in the first place, and can you talk us through the hoops that you had to jump through to get there?
Yeah, thank you. God, it is a long story, so I'm going to try and keep it short and brief. But the shortened version, I fell in love with nursing probably about 7 years old. I didn't realise I could be a nurse though at that point. I was young, I didn't know what I wanted in life. I was brought up by my nan and granddad. And first my granddad had cancer and he chose to die at home. So seeing that as a 7-year-old, and he had the district nurses coming in, and that's when I first saw what nursing was, and I fell in love with these people that was caring for my granddad, and the empathy and compassion and the care that they showed him. I just thought, these people are amazing. These are amazing Wonder Women. But I didn't fully understand the situation because I was only 7. I still didn't really understand what I wanted to be in life. And then later on in life, my nan unfortunately got cancer and died. She went to hospital. But just seeing her go through that, I was 15 years old, and not having that knowledge behind what cancer was and how to help her. So that gave me my next stepping stone to think, oh, maybe I need more knowledge around nursing and care to help people in the future. But unfortunately, I went through school, my GCSEs, I didn't fail, but I got D's and E's, which weren't really worth much, which had a massive knock on my confidence, my self-esteem. I didn't think I could be a nurse because I always regarded nurses as this high profession. Yeah. And I didn't see myself as that person because of, I suppose, all the life events that had happened and my GCSE results. So I went into hospitality because that's what my mum did. So I worked in hotels. Actually, one of my favourite jobs was cleaning bedrooms. Very strange, but I loved it. And it wasn't till later on, I thought, do you know what? This isn't my purpose. I just didn't feel motivated, although I loved the work of cleaning bedrooms for whatever reason. Yeah. There was just something missing, and so I was looking around and I spoke to one of my friends who said, I can see you being a nurse, and I thought, nah, I couldn't be a nurse, but he plotted that seed. So then I thought, okay, let's have a little Google search. Yeah. So I had a little search online just to see what nursing involved, what it entailed, how I could become a nurse. And one of the first things that came up was care home nursing for elderly people. I don't know if that's the right terminology now. Older adults, I suppose, is the right term now. And so I thought, okay, let's give this a go. So I applied to, there's a local care home around the corner from my house, literally stepping stone away. I applied, I luckily got the job. And that's when I really fell in love with nursing. And I said, wow, okay, this is why I want to be a nurse, because I just felt like I was just making a difference to everybody around me, even as a care assistant. And in the care home we didn't have nurses as such, but we had the district nurses again come out. This is probably why I fell in love with community type nursing and GP nursing, was because I've always had that community based background from a young age. But it was just, I was so fascinated by these nurses coming in, and I'd sit with them and I'd try and help where I could with the dressings and things like that. And I just loved it, and that's when I thought, okay, maybe I should think about going into nursing. But again, my confidence and everything, I thought, I don't know if I'm smart enough to get through university. They just cut all the diplomas, because nursing used to be a diploma.
Yeah.
So it became a degree-only profession, and that really put me off, again, because my confidence. I wasn't very academic. I thought about the dissertation that I might have to write, because that's all I heard about when I was Googling degrees. And I was really put off by it. And it wasn't until I was speaking to one of the carers that I worked with, and she had just got in to do her nursing. And she was a very good carer. She had no fault to her. She was very bright. She was very intelligent. But there was this one day that she came up to me and she said, this patient, he's asked for a boiled egg on toast and I can't boil an egg. And I was like, but you're going to be a nurse. No offence to anyone at all saying that. But it was at that point I thought, do you know what? If she can go into nursing and be a nurse, she can't boil an egg, then I think I might have some sort of a chance, because I can cook. Not that nursing involves cooking, but that's where my brain process went at that age. Anyway, but that's where I fell in love with nursing, was in the care home and really caring for patients and seeing the compassion and the care and what nurses did. And that's when I applied, yeah.
Okay, I mean, you keep saying about the confidence thing.
Yeah.
So am I right in thinking then that you applied actually a few years before you arrived at BCU then?
I did, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. But yeah, I originally applied and attended BCU. I think it was 2012 intake, I want to say, afterwards, because I'd failed my GCSEs and everything. I had to go and do retake everything. And then I did the access course to get me into university. But yeah, in 2012 I got into uni. I did 6 months, and at the time I was living with, not to get too personal, but I was living with my best friend at the time. She was going through a hell of a divorce and things like that, and we just had like a horrific argument one day about really silly things, and she kicked me out and made me homeless from it. Which wasn't the best. So my family don't live in Birmingham. They're all sort of scattered around the country, but my mum at the time was living in Milton Keynes. So I decided to move back in with my mum in Milton Keynes and try and commute, because I was on placement at the time. So I tried to commute to placement from Milton Keynes.
From Milton Keynes?
Which was horrific.
Oh my God.
It drained all of my money. And I just literally had nowhere to go. And it got to the point where I had to give up uni. It just got ridiculous. I was knackered. I did speak to my personal tutor about everything and just didn't get far at the time with them, unfortunately. But there's only so much that personal tutors can do anyway, and like signposting and support and things, so don't blame anyone. But I made that decision. I've got to quit and get some money behind me and then try again in the future. So I left. And that's when I went into sexual health and did all of that and got the experience, and then thought, okay, now's time to go back and reapply to BCU in 2017.
Okay, so after graduating in early 2020 then, and I think we all know what's coming here, you obviously entered the NHS just as COVID-19 began. What were your kind of initial steps after graduating then, and what was it like to be working on the front line at kind of such a pivotal time for the NHS?
Yeah, it was scary. First I graduated, I got my job, so I went straight into GP nursing, because as a student nurse, when we have our block placements, the ward care wasn't for me. Again, it goes back to, I think I've always had those district nurses, community feel based experiences, so maybe that's why I went down that route. I don't know, but one of my placements was GP and I fell in love with GP, so that's where I wanted to go, and that's what I beelined for, and that's what I went into. So I started as a GP nurse in February, and you could see the wave of the pandemic coming. I mean, you could see it from country. We went into lockdown way too late. But it was very scary because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was a newly qualified nurse. I didn't know what was going to be expected of me, if I'd be reallocated to the hospitals to help out. Yeah. I had worst case scenario going on in my head. And I feel awful because I feel so guilty because I actually had it good compared to other people. I was speaking to my friends that were in the same cohort as me, out on the wards, and they were being made to care for COVID patients without PPE and all sorts of horrific stories They were dealing with a lot of deaths. There was no beds for patients, so they were having to care for people in corridors, and there were lots of thoughts of they were telling me that in one particular hospital, I won't name the hospital, they were lining sort of dead people up in corridors and covering them, and because there was nowhere to put them. And I just thought, wow, I've got it lucky in GP because I was okay. What they did for us was we just had less patients coming in because we didn't know the impact of the virus. We didn't know what it was going to long-term wise affect patients, how it was going to happen. So our clinics were just reduced. I was seeing about 3 patients a day. So I wasn't getting that experience, I think, that I might have done without a pandemic as a newly qualified nurse.
Yeah.
Not only that, all of my training was put on hold. So to be a GP nurse, you need to do the fundamentals or foundations of general practice nursing course. That was all put on hold until September, October time. So I was just sort of thrown in with no real experience of GP nursing, no real training, no real supervisions in a way. That's sort of my experience of the pandemic. But then I did get involved in the vaccines rollout, which was very, very nice. And I remember going into that first clinic where we didn't know what to expect. It was really weird atmosphere because everyone was excited but really nervous because it was the first vaccines we were given. We didn't know if people were going to have allergies, allergic reactions, things like that. We didn't know what the impact of this would be. But given that first injection was just amazing, and it was such a nice feeling to think, do you know what, I'm doing something. Like while all my friends were in the hospitals dealing with that side, I was doing the prevention side and rolling out the vaccines with all of my with all the other nurses in the community. It was really, really nice feeling to be part of that, and seeing the patients come in, and they were so proud, nervous but really proud and really happy, and they'd bring in chocolates and thank you letters and stuff for us for helping. So it was really nice. Not that we deserved the thanks, I think the scientists behind the vaccine deserved the thanks for all of that. So it was a really weird time and very lonely as well because we were in the lockdown as well. So it was quite lonely as a newly qualified nurse going into that. But luckily we did have like WhatsApp groups and things like that for the online support, I suppose.
Okay. So after working as a GP nurse, you returned to BCU last year, was it?
I returned in December, December 22.
Okay. So I guess what is it like to now be back at university but as a staff member? And also, what does your role actually really involve? So first, I love being back. As soon as I left BCU, I knew I wanted to come back because I loved it as a student. I got really involved, like you were saying earlier. I was doing everything. I was part of like the YouTubing, the vlogging society. Was it the society? As part of BCU. And I got involved in all the events that occurs on campus. I wasn't just staying at my campus. I was on all the campuses, getting to know everybody. So I knew when I left, I really grieved for BCU. So I knew I'd be back. So when I went and got my experience with the GP nursing and everything, and then I decided that, okay, now's the time. I've had 3 years experience. Let's come back and try and do some lecturing. And just that, I remember that first day coming in, meeting Emma Winterman, who was my manager at the time, and just beaming because I was just so happy to be back. I was like, yes, I'm at home now. And it's just been really nice. Everyone's been so supportive, really lovely. But part of my role, so a lot of people think lecturing, including myself, I thought lecturing, a lot of it would be teaching. And that's only a tiny percentage of the role, actually. A lot of it is supporting students. So I'm a personal tutor for 24 students at the minute. Oh, wow.
And I'm an academic assessor for those students, and I've got other students that I do academic assessors for as well, which means that we just sign off the like practice placement documents and things like that. But there's a lot of admin involved as well, a lot of marking, so not just for my module. So I'm allocated to the leadership module at the minute, but I will do marking on other modules as well. So I'll mark some of the exams. There's a second year module that I've marked on, and I'll mark on my own module as well.
Right.
What else? I do skills sessions as well, so we get involved with the skills sessions. So things like injection technique, life support, venipuncture cannulation, catheter care, personal care, all those sort of type skill sessions we do as well. And get involved in events, so the open days, the applicant taster days.
Yeah.
There's the teacher and learning event that I went to yesterday, which was amazing. That was really nice to get involved in and see the different innovations that is going around at different universities and colleges, and things that we can implement in our uni as well. What else do I do? A lot.
It does sound like you do a lot.
That's just a small part, I think. I'm sure I'm missing a lot more.
Okay, so you are also, super passionate about sexual health and transgender awareness education. So I guess what got you involved in these aspects of nursing, and how is it that you educate people around these issues as well?
Yeah, so I really love, it sounds weird, people think I'm so weird for saying I love sexual health, but I was a healthcare assistant in sexual health for 6 years, and I remember before I started that job, I was watching a programme, I think it was called The Sex Clinic on Channel 4, I want to say.
Yeah, I remember that.
Possibly. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what an amazing job. And so I just literally just on NHS jobs, just having a look, sexual health type, and it came up as a healthcare assistant. I thought, I'm going to apply. And I applied and actually got the job. But I did revise for that job for about 2 weeks solid every day, looking up every sexual health condition, because I knew my fears and phobias and confidence, to make that interview. And luckily I showed enough passion to get the job, I think. But yes, I worked 6 years as a healthcare assistant there, doing everything. So we saw patients, we did testing on patients, we worked with all the consultants, the nurses, different specialists as well. It was just amazing. It's such a fascinating area.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of my knowledge is, sexual health. And then the transgender element came in, more so as a GP nurse. Okay. So when I first started as a GP nurse, I had my first trans patient come in, and they were having a hormone injection, and I remember thinking, I've never had any education on this. I've never had any training on trans patients. I don't know what this hormone's doing to the body. I don't fully understand it. And I didn't want anything to affect my care to any patients who might be trans in future. So I thought, let me just do some research. And I went to my manager and I said, is there any training available for trans patients? And I just got an outright no. There's an LGBT awareness course, but there's not anything specific for trans patients, which was really sad. So I did some digging. I did my own research for the next couple of years, just looking around different guidelines, policies, research papers. And the more I looked into it, the more I saw there's a lot of inequalities within healthcare and discrimination, I want to say, towards trans patients within healthcare, which made me even more motivated because I really wanted to make change and do something about it. So then I set up some webinars to deliver to healthcare staff, just to help in whatever way I can, just from all the knowledge that I'd gained. But not only that, my husband is a transgender man as well. He's very open and passionate about sharing his experience, especially on socials. He likes to help out and just raise more awareness. So I've roped him into doing the webinars with me, because we couldn't do this without an actual patient, because I don't know anything about being a transgender person. It's got to come from the people themselves. So he's very kindly been roped into this, which he's enjoying, I think, now. He's getting a bit more confident. But it's nice to hear his story, and it really helps people understand, I think, trans patients and what they go through, not just what we've got to do for them, like follow-ups or blood pressures or giving this injection, but just really understanding what it means to be transgender. So it's been a massive help. And we've had really good feedback from it as well. Everyone's really took on board things and made changes in the workplace, I think, from it as well, from what I've heard.
Yeah, that is amazing, actually. Okay, so funny enough, on the topic of social media then, you are very active on social media. You have a blog, a YouTube channel. So how important do you think these channels have been for you in growing a community?
Oh, massive. To be honest, when I first started university, I didn't plan on doing any social media stuff or anything. I just wanted to get my head down, pass uni and get back to work as a nurse. But then throughout my first year as a student nurse, it was about 6 months in, I think, they had a Staying Successful event at the university, and we had this amazing speaker come in. He was like a motivational speaker, comedian, and one thing he said to me just really resonated with me and just made me change my life with social media. And he said, do you want to just get your head down throughout these whole 3 years, pass uni, and then look back years later and regret not doing enough and doing more? And I was like, oh my God, that's me. He's talking to me. And this light bulb just went off in my head. It was weird. It was like, ching. And I was a changed person. I woke up and I thought, yes, I'm going to start. Twitter was the first thing. I thought I'm going to sign up on Twitter because they were showing Twitter reels and stuff on the day as well. So I thought that's my first project. I'm going to start Twitter. Started getting active on Twitter. Then I started blogging to start with because I wanted to vlog, but I wasn't confident enough to vlog. So I thought, let's just start blogging. So I started writing some blogs, and then I went on to my GP placement, and I thought I want to do more around my GP placement. So that's when I started doing videos. I plucked up the courage to start a YouTube channel. And then it just took off from there, really. And then through that and through constantly posting on Twitter, I started getting other nurses and networks come and follow me. And then I had a random inbox from an NHS leader, who I shall not name, asking me to speak at a conference up in Loughborough. So it was a GP nursing conference. So it'd be a room full of GPs and nurses to talk about my experiences as a student nurse on placement, and why GPs should take nurses on, student nurses to have for a placement, why it's important to do that for us, what we can learn from them, but not only that, sort of recruiting more newly qualified nurses into GP as well, and showing our experience to make them want us as well. So at first I was like, yeah, why not, whatever. Didn't realise who I was speaking to because I'd never heard the name or anything before. And I can't remember who it was at the university. It might have been Emma Winterman, actually. I spoke to about it. And she was like, do you know who this person is? I was like, I have no idea. I've just replied saying, yeah, why not? And she's like this NHS leader. This is quite big. And I was like, oh, maybe I should panic a little bit now. Because again, going back to my confidence, that was when the panic set in as well, because I was thinking, I'm gonna have to stand on stage and speak to all these people. I've never done anything like this before. It's making me nervous just thinking about it still. But just from that, I obviously did it. And again, I tweeted about it, I vlogged about it, I shared pictures of it. And you just kind of create this little ripple effect. The more positivity you put out there, the more positivity you create within the social media sphere. And you just create really nice networks. And social media for me has just been a massive positive, mostly until the last couple of years. But it's just been amazing. It's just been really good. And not only for networking with different nurses around the world and the country, and getting opportunities like conferences, but helping students out as well. As a student, I was helping other students by sharing my journey and positive quotes and things like that I was sharing, just to help people get motivated again about nursing. And even now I still get messages from people saying, I always hear your voice on my head saying, you've got this, because that's what I always say when we do, you've got this, you can do this. And it's just so nice to get messages like that from people, and that I've made that impact. It's just I'm gonna get emotional if I carry on.
So I've actually got your brand new book here.
How have you got that? Who gave you that? Did I give you that?
No, I ordered it online.
Oh, I've got some free copies. You could order a free one.
Oh no, I'm happy to support the work. It actually came last week. So I think within like the first few days of it being published. I mean, it must just be like amazing to see your very own published book. You know, your name on there, which is so special. But what was it that actually inspired you to write it in the first place? And also, at what point did you start working on it? Was it while you're actually a student?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as a student, like I was saying about my vlogging and blogging, I thought I might just try and turn all of this into a one place, like a book.
Yeah.
And I literally just opened a Word document, put a few words on paper, put some sort of plan of action of what I'd put into a book if I was to write one. And then it got left. It got left for ages. And it wasn't until actually Anne-Marie Dodson helped me out, so thank you, Anne-Marie. She knew somebody at Elsevier publishing place and said, oh, Claire might be a good person to contact. So they got hold of me and said, oh, would you mind helping out with some socials and things like that? And I said yes, obviously, because I want to do everything. And I said, oh, I've got this book idea. Just on the off chance in one of the meetings, I said, I've got this book idea, but I don't know if it's a good idea. And I pitched it to them, and she said, this sounds amazing, send me whatever you've got and we'll have a look and we'll just go for it.
Oh, gosh.
So then I was like, I'm going to have to actually write a book and finish it now. But I literally just put everything, all my blogs, YouTube videos, is literally just in the book and more. Yeah.
That's amazing. So what is it that you're like hoping that students actually get out of the book then? And also, what is the kind of one piece of advice that you would give to a current student nurse?
Well, first, I hope that somebody gets something from the book. I genuinely wish I had this, and this is why I started vlogging and blogging as well, because I wish I had something like this when I was a student, because when I was looking for things about nursing and what nurses do and things like that, there was nothing out there. It was all American-based YouTubers, and it wasn't really transparent to the UK, if that makes sense. So that's why I started my YouTube as well. I didn't think about who's going to watch it. I just thought this might help somebody else. So I just did it and didn't think about it. So I'm hoping that something in this book is going to help students out there, because it's all the stuff that nobody really tells you. You've got your anatomy and physiology books, you've got drug calculation type of books, but nobody really breaks things down from start to finish. And that's what the book is. It's a whole journey, applying to university, how to apply, how to bag that interview, coming from someone that's really unconfident that couldn't get through your interviews, and then just through the 3 years of your university life, through assignments, exams, how to write an assignment, what is that jump from level 4 to level 6, what does that look like, how to get better at assignment writing. And not only that, but things about mental health, failures, dealing with getting a failure. There's just loads. So I'm hoping that it's going to help someone out there somewhere. I think at the minute, I know nursing's really tough. I mean, I've had to come off Twitter for a bit. I know it's been very positive for me, but it's really negative at the minute with how nursing is, the government, the politics, and I hate getting involved in that sort of discussion. So I have taken a little break away from Twitter. So I think my biggest advice is keep going, but take some time out, because you absolutely need it right now. Take some time out for yourself. And if you have to take a break away, because at the end of the day, nursing's always going to be around. We're always going to need nurses. Nursing is massive. You can go anywhere in the world, anywhere with it. But you might not be here forever. So it's really important that people look after themselves before anything else, and just take that time out and then come back for the best care for their patients as well, not just themselves, but the knock-on effect will be their patients.
Okay, so this is something we actually love to do in every episode, a Birmingham quick fire round. So obviously, you studied and work here. So what is your favourite spot on the BCU campus?
Okay. From my student days, it was the hill that's at the back of Seacole.
Yeah.
Anyone that doesn't know, there's like a big hill and it's got a little bench on the top. I don't actually know if that's still there. I need to go up and have a look. But that was our spot. Like, we loved going up there, especially when the sun's shining. It's just nice. You get the sunlight and you've got the nice view of the uni behind you. I've got a lot of our photos were up there. And then as a lecturer, probably, it's going to sound awful, my office.
Yeah, like your own space.
I'm like, yes, I'm back at BCU. I've got my own little office. I can go up to the staff kitchen now and make myself a cup of tea instead of going to Starbucks and Costa.
Snobs or Pop World?
Oh, Pop World.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You like the cheese?
I love cheese.
Blues or Villa?
I'm not, to be honest, I'm not a football fan at all. But my husband is a Baggies fan, so I'm going to have to go Baggies for him. The West Bromwich, sorry everyone.
Broad Street or Digbeth?
Oh, Digbeth, yeah. It's so much quirkier.
And your favourite, like, Brummie landmark?
Oh, the new bull in the New Street Station.
Oh, wow, I think that's been like revealed like this week. Yeah.
It's got to be Ozzy the Bull. Or Bourneville. I really love Bourneville and Cadbury World as well.
Yeah. And what is your like favourite like Brummie slang word?
Oh, gambol, just because it sounds hilarious.
I'm
not from Birmingham, so gambol.
Gambol was probably one of my favourites actually. Yeah. Gambol, by the way, for those who might not know what gambol is it's like a forward roll.
It's a roly-poly down the hill.
It's a roly-poly, yeah. So you've been selected as one of our barrier breakers at this year's Alumni Festival. So what does that mean to you?
I think that's amazing. It's really nice. It warms my heart that anyone thinks that I'm a nice barrier breaker. But actually, I'm quite proud to break barriers as well, because I know the way society is, you've got this social expectations of people, and you should do things this way or that way, or you should have a job by a certain age, or you should go to university, or you should have children and be married. But I'm 39 and a half now, and I've only just got my life in order. So I think there's no right way to be in this world, and society puts that pressure on you, I think. And don't be afraid to break barriers, to break the norm, as long as you're doing it in a professional, nice way that's not hurting anybody else, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, we should all go for breaking barriers every now and then. Yeah, step outside our comfort zones and do the impossible.
And final question then, if you could go back to your like very first day here at BCU in 2017?
2017, yeah.
What is the one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Probably stop being so scared, because I was terrified for the first 3 months probably. I didn't speak to anybody. Well, I tried. No, that's a lie. I tried twice and didn't make any friends. But yeah, I'm really socially awkward anyway. I'm a massive introvert, and I like my home comfort. So coming to uni with all new people, you don't know anybody, was terrifying. So I wish I could just go back and just give myself a shake and say, it's going to be okay. You're going to make friends. Keep going. Yeah, and I think it's tough as well as a mature student coming into uni and trying to make friends anyway. But it was all right, and luckily I did make friends and I had a really nice group.
So thanks so much for popping by today, Claire, coming onto the podcast. We can't wait to see you again very soon.
Thank you.